Hello and greetings, my darlings. So, we're going to make a quick mushroom stew today. It's one of my favorite meal ideas for, during a busy week. So, I have the ingredients we're going to use here, some of the ingredients on the plate. And this can change depending on what I want to put in the stew. So, first, I have half of a white or yellow onion that I've chopped roughly. I have two pretty large size garlic cloves. You don't want to use tiny ones. I have a whole red bell pepper that I've chopped up roughly again. Then I have about half of a carton of cherry or grape tomatoes. You could definitely use a different type of tomato here, like a plum or aroma here as well. You use about two in that case. And then I have 1 tablespoon of vegetable stock paste or vegetable bouillon paste. You can also use cubes here if you prefer to use the stock cube. So whatever you like, vegetable, chicken, beef, but I'm sticking to veggie today. Then I have I have about 2 cups of white button mushrooms. You can use brown as well. I've sliced them. I've washed and sliced them into fair about half-inch size pieces here. And then our spices. These are it's what's gonna make the stew taste like a stew. So what's gonna make it taste delicious. So here um, I have a few different things that I put in here. First is dried garlic powder, about a tablespoon of that, about 2 tablespoons of curry powder, a tablespoon of red pepper flakes, but you can absolutely half that. Make it a half tablespoon if you don't like spice. Black pepper, about a teaspoon, and then about a tablespoon of sea salt. All right, now grab your stock pot and go ahead and start heating it at about medium high, not too high. And then we're just going to add some heat, um, you know, some heat friendly oil to it. You can use whatever type you like avocado oil, coconut oil. That will get us started there. And then I went ahead and put all of my veggies that I showed you in the first part in my food processor. I'm going to chop them up really fine in my food processor. You can do this by hand as well, especially if you don't like your vegetables very fine, but I like them fine in my stew. So that's how I'm going to do it. So here I'm just showing you how fine I let the food processor chop the vegetables. And like I said, you can do it by hand. It's just, it's just quick to do it in the food processor, which is just a quick stew, right? Now, I forgot to mention earlier that one ingredient, and that is the greens. You absolutely need greens in the stew. I have about 4 to 6 cups of kale here, but you can use whatever green you like. And when our oil is hot, I'm going to go ahead and start adding our chopped vegetables to the oil. Careful here because when the oil is hot and those wet vegetables touch the oil, it is going to splatter a little bit. And you can adjust your heat if it's getting too crazy. And that's what I ended up doing actually. But yeah, go ahead and put those vegetables in that hot oil and let them cook down. Um, and the great thing about this stew is that it's adaptable. You can use different vegetables depending on what you have in your fridge. It's a great stew to get rid of maybe vegetables that you are, wanting to you don't want them to go bad. Like I've also done carrots in here, zucchini. Zucchini is going to add a lot more water, but yeah, just throw them in your food processor or chop them up and you can add it to this veggie base that you're using to your stew and you can make some really lovely stews with this and get lots of vegetables in it that are healthy and just, don't you won't let them go to waste. Now let that cook for about 5 minutes or so, maybe 7 or 8 minutes. So I also ran my greens through the food processor. That's what I'm just showing you the texture here. Like I said, I like my vegetables to be finer chopped. So I just do that. Now you can go ahead and add your mushroom slices to the chopped vegetables. And you're just going to mix that up, adjust your heat because the mushrooms, them being cooler, they're going to bring the temperature down a little bit. So you can just turn it up just a little, not too much, just to keep things simmering in the pot there. And I'm just mixing it up. If I see something maybe that was a little bit too big, I cut it with the spoon, but that's what we're doing here at this step. And each step we're layering more and more flavor. So you see, we cooked our vegetables first and got those at a good texture to let their flavors release. And then we added our mushrooms. And now we're adding our spices, our spice blend. And we're just going to mix that in with the vegetables. So this base, like I said, is, the flavor base of our stew. So each of these steps is really important. It allows for the proper texture and allows for the proper releasing of the spice flavors into the oil because the flavors of the spice, the constituents of the spice are going to release into the fat. And so you want to give it time to simmer. So definitely I recommend you follow the steps like this so you can extract the best flavor from your spices and so that all of the textures of the vegetables are perfect. And so you'll cover that and let that go for about another 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. And that's what it looks like after about 7 minutes of cooking. The mushrooms are going to release a lot of water. That water also has flavor, that umami, earthy, savory flavor that mushrooms give dishes. And so you can judge based on your mushrooms how much more liquid you'll need later. Now I'm going ahead here and adding the greens. And like I said, I used about 4 to maybe 6 cups of greens. And what's great is that again, with just like with the chopped vegetables in the beginning, you can use whatever kind of green you like. I'm using kale here, but you could absolutely use spinach. You could use chard. You could use collards. Um, yes. So whatever greens you may have in the fridge that you haven't used that you want to use up, absolutely add this to a stew. This would also be a great way to change up how you do greens. If you are used to just making kind of maybe like Southern style greens, this is another way you can do greens, I think, and it just be a whole different experience for you and your family. So we're just going ahead and stirring the greens up in our luscious, flavorful base here. The mushrooms are continuing to release water and get tender. And we don't want to cook the greens to death. That's another reason why I saved it for the last thing to add. And then I'm also going in with the vegetable stock paste. And I'm going to grab some water here in a minute. And I only added about a cup of water here because I prefer my stew to be on the thicker side. If you prefer your stew a little thinner, you can add a little bit more. But it's not really supposed to be a soup; it's a stew. So, um, so that's how I measure the water there. And I'm also here just mashing and mixing that vegetable stock paste in. If you're using the cube, you really need to take the time to crush those cubes, make sure they dissolve in your stew, because nobody wants to bite into a big chunk of stock cube, right? Or stock paste. That would just be really salty and intense. So, all right. So now we're going to go ahead and cover that and let that cook for about 10 more minutes until everything's tender. And that's what it looks like, guys. I mean, it's done. Your stew is done. And, this is a this is a really quick and healthy way to get lots of vegetables in your diet, especially when the months are turning cold like it is now. I really hope that you try this and, let me know what you think of it. It's ready. It's ready for you to put on some rice. I have it on rice here. You can put it with fufu, plantain, whatever your favorite starch is, and enjoy, guys. So let me know like the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.